Okay, so we want to special thank somebody, TMC Engineering. TMC Engineering, if you don't remember, actually bid on and won at Gun Prom, the Gun Owners Radio Takeover, and they decided they were too shy for radio. So they just wanted us.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they just wanted us to say some nice words. They said, look, we were just there for the for the cause. So we don't really want to take over the show. Although this would have been a great show to take over because it's going swimmingly so far. Okay, so here we go. TMC Engineering, your local women-owned, family-operated general engineering contractors that can turn ordinary spaces to extraordinary places. You can count on us to provide professional, communicative, and high-quality results. Contact TMC Engineering at 760-705-4982. Thank you again, TMC Engineering, you and your whole crew. You guys are awesome. Look forward to seeing you guys again at Gun Prom this year, which will be announced probably about a month. We're about a month away from announcing Gun Prom. Should be October 12th, though. So, okay. So we have a couple of things going on. Of course, we have Jason Martin. How are you, man?
I'm doing outstanding.
Fantastic. And you're from Practical is Tactical.
That's right.
And we're going to talk to you throughout the show, especially in the next couple of segments. But we started doing something interesting in the first segment here. We started doing Q&A because I get a bunch of questions all week long, and I get like the same questions over and over again. So I'm like, you know what? Let's get this out on the radio. I'm answering the same questions over and over again. So I thought I'd do Q&A at the 4 o'clock hour, and I think it's already working out. This is only week 2, but before we do that, and one more special thanks, Fredo, I know you're listening out there. Thank you so much for making me this watch band. How cool does that look good, guys?
It looks awesome.
Gorgeous.
It looks good, doesn't it?
Oh,
How come we don't have one?
Well, because you haven't contacted Fredo. He also made this holster for me.
That's really nice.
This is going to holster with the nice logo on it.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to holster that 38 that I won from.
Looks like a holster for a 3-year-old.
Gunfighter Tactical. For a 3-year-old, what are you talking about?
Well, doesn't look like that would.
It's an old Western style.
I know, for a
I like it.
3-year-old.
With our logo on it. Anyway, he did all that for me. Fredo, you're awesome. Anybody who needs his leather services, he's right here in San Diego. He's a big supporter of the Second Amendment. He's a great dude. 619-302-4159. 619-302-4159. Fredo didn't pay me to do that. Didn't give me a discount or anything. I just value his work so much. I paid full price, and I wanted to let everybody know about it. And coincidentally, the question comes from Fredo. He and I sat down when he was giving me his the holster and the watch band, and he said, I got a question for you. And it was a good question, and it's something I wanted to spend a couple of minutes addressing, because those who've been listening to the show or have been paying attention to our social media know that I'm pretty hard on people that leave California. I'm really hard on people who leave California. And Fredo's like, hey, man, I want to leave California. That doesn't make me a coward. It doesn't make me a bad person. And I told Fredo, I said, my criticism isn't intended to hurt people like you. In fact, it's intended to exalt people like you. It's intended to protect people like you. And what do I mean by that? And I told him, I said, if I'm offending or hurting the very person I'm trying to defend, then I'm not being clear enough. And I need to tell people exactly what I mean. If someone out there like Fredo, a great guy and a friend, is going, gosh, Mike, you're offending me, then I'm doing something wrong. So I need to clarify. When I am hard on people who leave California, if you leave California because you've been living here for 50 years and it's time for you to move on and retire and go on to a different sector of your life,
That's fine.
Fine. If your family is back east, okay, great. If your job says, hey, there's a great opportunity for you, great. Or if you've just been in California fighting the fight and you're like, okay, that's enough. I got to move on. I got to go take care of grandkids. I got to go fish for a living. I got to
retire.
Fine. That's not who I'm talking about. So just the simple act of leaving California, I'm not laying into you folks. The people I'm talking to are the people who leave California, didn't do anything while they were here. Didn't do anything but complain or post really angry memes on Facebook. and pretended like they're an activist for posting memes or yelling at Fox News. And then they made no effort. They haven't helped out at all. We've had this platform, this opportunity, San Diego County gun owners, for 8.5 years, for you to come and be an activist, to do things that are helpful and meaningful. We've actually made changes to public policy that have changed people's lives and protected them and made things better. So there's plenty of opportunity for you to be an effective activist. But instead, you did nothing, and then you left. And then you go on social media and you throw stones. Oh, everybody in California, you guys should just leave. It sucks out there. Gun laws, meh. Oh, I'm a big tough guy, but I can't handle a few liberals in California, so I left. Those people are the ones I'm criticizing. The people who are staying here, for you to pick up and leave and go to California because you didn't feel like fighting back, which is, in essence, those are the people I'm talking about. And then you throw rocks at the heroes who are staying here and fighting, the people that are saying, hey, you know what? This is a tough fight. Maybe I'll leave eventually, but right now I'm going to sit here and fight. You got people like Fredo. You got people like all the volunteers, all the board members, all the members of San Diego County gun owners who are doing things every single weekend. And you're sitting there on social media in some other state under the freedom that you didn't fight for, and you're criticizing us. Those are the people I'm criticizing.
You really should tell people how you feel. I'm serious.
So that's my A for the Q today, and I felt it was. We usually answer a few more, but
we have more coming.
No, that's it, Fredo.
Sure.
That's your answer, and I appreciate you bringing it up. And you, sir, are a
scholar,
a hero, a scholar, and a fine judge of Scotch, and
let me
a
see
hell
that,
of a golfer.
Let me see that little holster.
There you go. It's not little.
It's not little, Dave.
Look at that little guy. Isn't that the cutest little thing?
It's a 38 caliber.
Looks like it should be on about a 4-year-old. On his side, he's got his little pistol.
I think I just have really big hands.
Old school cap gun.
What's that big thing there for? What's that for?
That holds the hammer. So it holds the hammer when you put it in there, and it secures it by wrapping it on the hammer.
Is it quick draw release? No.
Well, quick. It depends on, you got to practice.
Yeah, let's do it. If you ever have legal matters that involve firearms, you need California's best firearms lawyer, and that means John Dillon. He can help you with red flag laws, gun registration, gun transportation, or maybe you just need to know that your guns are California compliant. John Dillon specializes in California gun laws, so put his number on your phone right now, 760-642-7150. That's John Dillon's California firearms lawyer. Again, 760-642-7150.
All right, Jason Martin, how are you, man?
I'm doing outstanding.
Good. I was just complimenting you on your Aloha shirt. I love it.
Yep.
Crabs and guns.
Crabs and guns. Can't ask for anything better, right?
Doesn't get any better than that, right?
That's right.
And you said you're from Maryland originally?
I'm originally from Maryland, so I moved out here in 2007.
Oh, nice. What brought you out here?
So I worked for the Department of Defense, so I was out here supporting the Navy for years. So we
cool.
had our first kids, so we decided, hey, I'm always out here. Let's come out here, and
This is home now.
this is home now.
That's awesome. Tell us about Practical is Tactical.
So practical is tactical is my little play on words for my little company that I started doing firearms training and then CCW training. So here in northern San Diego County, I train out of Paula Shooting Range. So I know most people I meet go, oh my God, that's so far away, but
It's how far? Tell people where exactly is it? How do you get there?
So Paula Shooting Range, you just head up the 15, get on the 76, heading about 4 miles east. You got the Paula Casino right there across the street. Literally is Paula Shooting Range. It is the longest shooting range in Southern California.
Yeah.
And how long is it?
890 yards. Every LE agency in Southern California trains there at certain different times of the week. So
That's really not that bad. It's not that bad getting out there.
no, it's.
I mean,
very
if
easy.
you live in Imperial Beach, maybe it's a bit of a hike.
Correct.
Yeah, but once you get to the 76, right?
Correct. Smooth sailing.
You're fine.
Yeah.
It's beyond the 76 is where it's
Yeah,
about.
and just don't do it at like 8:30 a.m. on a Monday through Friday. You'll get hit. Well, actually, you'll be the opposite.
No, you'll
It's
be
more
fine.
like 4:30,
traffic.
4:30, 5 o'clock on Monday through Friday.
Correct. Late afternoon, you hit all the Temecula traffic, but in the mornings, you're going against it.
How many ranges or how many?
Oh my
slots?
goodness! So the range is divided up between the rifle range, which goes out to 890. Then it's got the pistol range, which goes out to 75. And then it has a small shotgun range, which goes out to about 60.
Okay.
But then they do 3-gun matches and different matches out there. So that starts at the 300 yard where they've got 10 different bays. So they can run various matches. So during my training groups, I sync with the match days so I can use those bays. But then other times that I'll sync with what are the LE agencies doing, and then just take another bay or something that I can do it. And then they have a full air conditioned, heating, brand new classroom facility there.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yep.
Good for them. When did that go up?
That went up about 2 years ago.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
Nice big classroom. Is it so that's where you use,
that's where I do my official training out of the classroom there. Sometimes if I have smaller classes, I'll do them, do the actual classroom portion at the gun shop that I part-time out of there in Fallbrook Guns. And so we'll do that.
Is that range on, is it the Rincon tribe that owns
It
it?
would be the Apala Band of Indians.
Oh, okay. All right.
So it's on your way to Rincon.
Okay.
So Rincon would be the next one after Pala.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's a little gem here in Southern California.
Yeah, it really is.
Is that unusual that the Indian reservations would have a range?
No, most Indian reservations do not. So
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. They usually don't.
correct, and they
So
don't.
it's
So we actually
interesting.
owe them. We actually are very thankful for the
Yeah, oh,
tribe
yeah.
to actually give us that opportunity that non-tribal members can come onto that property and use it.
Because Barona has got plenty of land for a great range.
Mm-hmm.
Viejas, maybe not so much, but yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so it's a lot of work creating that relationship.
I've been approached by a tribe, at least one tribe, I'll say, and their leadership, asking, hey, we're our own nation. We don't have to put up with, we don't have to abide by the California gun laws.
There's a place for that.
they were like, hey, why don't we open up a gun shop and just sell whatever the heck we want? We don't have to abide by this stuff. And I'm like, oh, there's some ups and downs there, but because they're their own sovereign nation, right?
They are their own sovereign nation. However, as soon as they leave the nation,
Right. Everything kicks
everything
back in.
changes.
Yeah, so just don't leave the nation and you're okay.
And there are tribal members that do get their concealed carry permits for either San Diego or Riverside, and they have,
So, do you do the 3-gun and the IPSC and the
I used
IDPA?
to do all of that kind of stuff. I
Yeah.
used to do long range, IPSC, NRA high power, all the various shootings. I actually used to do machine gun shoots when I lived back in Maryland, so I actually owned a machine gun when I was in my younger years.
What'd you own?
I owned an MP5.
Oh, man.
Yep.
You were like Charlie Sheen.
Yep. Well, it was 1996, Everybody wanted an MP5.
Everybody wanted an MP5. For those of you not old enough to remember, as soon as that movie came out, it came out in 1990, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
And throughout everybody wanted an MP5.
MP5.
Everybody in the 90s wanted an MP5 up until I'm gonna say 9/11, when the war kicked off and they started doing flat tops on ARs. Then boom, the M4 just took over. But throughout the 90s, everybody wanted an MP5. And they wanted that MP5 SD whatever with the
with the Navy lower, with the multiple. Yeah, exactly.
Everybody wanted
Under $4,000.
yeah.
Well,
cheaper than
let's put it in perspective. This was a pre 86 transferable machine gun. So at that time, it was about $5,000.
Yeah.
I sold it 12 years later for almost $20,000.
Jeez. Why'd you sell it? Because it was $20,000?
Because he's coming to
I
California.
live here in California, so I started having nightmares of it getting stolen from where I stored it back in Maryland. So
well, plus $20,000.
yeah, well, I traded
Not a
it
bad
for something
investment.
that I could have here. So
That's a month's worth of gas. How bad could that be?
I've had to be.
So, as a trainer, what are your thoughts on competitive shooting? Someone getting involved in informal competitive shooting.
So I've heard lots of different trainers. I'm not old at this game. I've heard lots of trainers say, "Oh, you learn bad habits." I think it's kind of a both because we talk about getting off the X. That's the one thing about competitive shooting is it teaches you to be able to utilize your gear, understand your gear, and understand your weapon. And of course, getting off the X in order to.
What does that mean, getting off the X?
Most people train statically. So they stand in their bay and they shoot and they get static and they think that okay. But in a defensive encounter, you don't want to stand there and just have an assailant come after you. You want to move. And as part of your self-defense architecture, when you're building your self-defense, of course, is you want to be able to say, what did you do? Did you just stand there, pull your gun and shoot it, or did you try to escape? Because in self-defense, we want to try to run, hide, or fight. I mean, that's our order for self-defense.
But if you yell at them to stand still, they won't.
They probably will not.
Hey, stay right there. Let me shoot you for a minute.
Come on, get over there
hang
to the
on.
left.
Stop
in the
fighting
light.
it. It's going to happen. Just stop fighting it.
It's gonna happen.
It's going to happen. You got to go into a defensive gun use with that level of confidence.
Mentality,
It's
for
going to
sure.
happen.
No matter what you do.
Well, in the Marine Corps, they taught us, they said, if you get in a knife fight, take a cut. Take a cut,
Yeah.
because you're gonna get cut.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, okay, what kind of bad habits do trainers typically see people pick up in, informal competitive, IDPA, IPSC, whatever?
So most people will pick up bad habits of just drawing and shooting right off the bat.
They lose the
Don't-
decision making.
You
They hear
lose
the
the decision making.
Pavlov's dog.
Yep.
The bell goes off
bell
and they
goes up,
shoot.
beep, boom. I'm going straight for it.
Yeah.
In real life, there's not going to be that beeper.
Yeah,
Right.
really.
Yeah, because a defensive encounter is very dynamic. It could, as soon as you pull the gun, it was like, whoa, wait a minute, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
So it's those kind of habits that they may not like.
I think it's great. I think going and doing informal competitive shooting, and I say informal on purpose. I think that if you get really, really into, competitive shooting, you buy all the gear and you start something happen. I'm not saying it's bad. If you want to get into it, but you start gaming. It turns into less of a I'm learning how to defend myself and more into I need to learn how to win the game.
Yep.
I think if you just go and just don't worry about making it to the top of the heap, you just go and
do it.
with the mindset of, hey, I am practicing right now. I'm having fun. It's dynamic. I'm not just standing there, but it's practice.
Yeah, and I like I said, I think the better benefits, obviously, besides those, is the fact is you're learning to move and shoot, because most people don't get to learn to move and shoot at the same time. We have limitations and safeties on the range that prevents us from actually doing that. So when you go to a match, whether it be an indoor match or an outdoor match, you actually get to move and shoot. So you can actually see what your ability is on moving and shooting.
Now, do you have a particular niche? Is there something that you teach better than anybody, or something that you like to focus on? Or
So for my course, I kind of provide I do about 3 hours of range time during my CCW classes. So we actually go through and I'll have students running around and doing things and pushing them to their limits to see where they go. We'll push through, see how fast, and come back. So I do that. My classes are generally fairly small, so I can get to know my students and then kind of feel, okay, why, Mike, why do you need a concealed carry? What is it that you feel that you need a concealed carry for? And then I can have somebody tell me this, and I say, okay, now I can kind of cater the training to you a little bit better. And I try to figure out what is between each student's little niche.
What if he says, because I got a cool new holster?
I say, come on, let's work it. Let's see if
Why are
it's
you
really
making-
cool. It might look cool,
Yeah, why are you making fun of my holster?
I think your holster's cute.
but can you really use it?
Yeah, do you know how to use
No,
it?
not yet.
We'll find out.
I just picked this up last week. So
Last
So-
week, and you haven't put it on yet?
no, not yet. It was sitting in my car for a little too long.
No, it's
So
still.
He's letting it cure.
yeah, I got to put a baseball in it and put it under my mattress
A
now.
little bit of Vaseline.
What? Why do you got to put a baseball in
No,
it?
that's
Come on, Dave.
an old
Baseball
baseball glove.
Oh, that's right. What was I thinking? Sorry.
You have to put
So
a gun in it and put it on your mattress.
there you go. Yeah. So what made you become an instructor? What was that route?
So that route.
Oh, wait.
Oh, we got to
Think about it.
Think
We'll
about
answer it on the
That's
other side.
one thing that's working is the music.
I know.
Hey, you need to learn to fly. And you can get your pilot's license. Why? Because San Diego is one of the best places to learn to get your airplane pilot's license, because pilots can fly almost every single day. Learn to fly with San Diego Flight Training International. Gun owners, radio listeners, check this out. You get 1 hour of ground school, 1 hour of flight with an instructor. Yep, you get to fly. And it's a $400 value, but we're going to get you a deal at $350. Just give them a call at 858-569-1822. Learn to fly with SDFTI. That's 858-569-1822.
All right, we're talking to Jason Martin from Practical is Tactical. Tell us about the name. You were going to tell us how you got into
Training.
being an instructor, but before you do that, tell us how'd you come up with the name Practical is Tactical? Tell us about that.
So that was kind of,
Other than it rhymes.
it rhymes. It's it throws off the tongue. No, it was more of along the lines of I kind of look at, during all, you brought up all the different wars we've been going through, and a lot of training that we were seeing, people were buying battle belts and combat and tactical gear and all this other stuff. And then working at a gun shop, I have people constantly coming in to buy this stuff, and then of course I'm looking at, myself having had war body armor. I'm like, if somebody breaks into my house, I'm not going to be putting on body armor and a battle belt. If suddenly, especially like during COVID, all of that stuff took off where people were buying that kind of stuff. I'm like, think about it. Are you really going to be wearing all that stuff? I mean, it's difficult for active duty 20-year-olds to wear that stuff. And so moving forward, we look at what are you really going to have with you in a potential gunfight? You're going to be dressed like we're dressed right now.
Right.
Simple. You're going into the gunfight with what you have on to you. So that's the practical part.
Or sometimes you get the guys that are all decked. They just walk around all decked out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they were nicknamed
Tactical.
tactical, but they're also the shoot me first uniform.
Mhm.
Because if you're a bad guy and you walk into a room and you see a guy all decked out, you better go after that guy first.
Versus look at Dave over here, the guy in the car shirt and looking just pretty simple, That's his tactical outfit right there.
He is simple. He's very simple.
He blends into where he's going.
I have no idea where I'm going, but I'm very simple.
Well,
So that's where I came up with the name.
What?
No, I was just saying, you go out there and you look on the range, you're going to see lots of those tactile bags, tactile backpacks, and then you'll also see somebody with a diaper bag, someone who's got a very inconspicuous, non-range looking gear.
A diaper bag?
Just for example, something that's very anti-tactical. Those are the best. That's the way to go.
See, now people would see you, they'd think twice and they come after you. Well, because you're all tacked out, right?
Well, it's because I came from the range today.
No.
Normally, I don't always look like a lumberjack.
No, but I'm just saying, if you were going in an area where you didn't, you're a little concerned of the area, that would be the way to dress.
I think, like Mike said, I might be the first one they take out.
I think you just dress normal. I actually really like that. I think that's extremely smart. I like the fact that we have so many resources, so many instructors that are former military or former law enforcement. I think that's great. But having an emphasis on, hey, look, I'm not going to teach you to invade a country. I need to teach you how to walk around town.
There's nothing against all the companies and the trainers that do that. I think that training is awesome.
Yeah.
Everybody likes to do that, but
you're just giving them another flavor,
another option. That's right. I just people come to me because they're simple. I just bought a gun. So one of your questions earlier was, why did I get into training? So it kind of started during COVID. I'd always done firearm training, but the number of individuals that I had coming into the shop says, I need a gun right now.
Jeez.
And then
and
we're looking at them going,
you're not kidding. Why? I was at a shop, and I've told this story before. I was at a shop right around COVID. I was talking to the owner about, okay, well, this is what they're saying you have to do to stay open or whatever. We're kind of having that conversation, and someone behind me said, I need a gun. And not the instructor, the employee behind the counter said, okay, what are you looking for? And the person said, I don't care anything. I just need a gun right now. And that caused everybody just turned around and looked at this, and it was somebody in uniform. It was somebody, a military guy in uniform, and the employee talked to him, and he was scared. He was like, I don't know what's going on. The whole world's shutting down. I need a gun.
And it was day in and day out like that, from opening to close, where people who had never even thought about owning a firearm suddenly decided that the sky was falling and the hordes of the inner city was coming to get them, and they needed to have a firearm. And
some were right. Some were right. So that did happen in some
places. So, but then, of course, now as a gun sales, you're looking at it as like, you could use some training.
Yeah.
I don't want to just sell you a gun. You need some
No,
training.
I don't want training. I want a gun.
Yeah. Well,
you get that too.
And so
you do.
Right.
Part of it.
You get that because I don't want to go messing around and get trained. I just want to get a gun.
How many people were like, hey, can I just pay extra and skip the 10-day wait period or get anything like that?
Me and all the guys in the shop, we probably could have all bought nice homes in Maui by now. if we'd accepted all of
But
this.
isn't that funny? Now, I was about to say, in Alpine, you probably the people, the voters up there probably weren't voting for the anti-gunners, but in a lot of these places, it was people who voted for anti-gunners who were saying, "Wait a minute, what do you mean there's a 10-day wait period? I need a gun now." You know,
Why are you picking on Alpine?
I'm not. I'm saying Alpine voted for the right people.
Oh,
So for a gun shop owner saying, well, if you hadn't have voted for the wrong people, you wouldn't have a 10-day wait period. That probably doesn't apply as much in Alpine. They all tend to vote the right way.
Well, and you
but
can
it
tell a
definitely
lot
did
of-
in downtown San Diego.
And you can tell a lot of people are from out of state when they walk in and they want a gun and they don't expect to have to wait 10.
Well, the other one
10
is,
days.
your firearm safety certificate. Oh, I can buy, I have to still wait. I took the test. I passed it. Like, no, you still got to wait. We still got to have this. We still have to have that, which, that didn't change the fact that,
Right.
oh, I can only buy one. What do you mean I can only buy one?
Yeah, we're working on that too.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you sold a lot of guns. Talk about your shop real quick. Tell people where you work.
So I work part-time at Fallbrook Guns, just a simple shop. We've been there for about 10 years now. We used to be BB Firearms. The BB's packed up in...
I said Alpine, Fallbrook. I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
I know. I smacked
Same
you there.
voters. Same voters, though.
Same voters. Packed up and moved to Utah, so they're part of your crew of they escaped California because they couldn't do it. So
Yeah, but I'm sure they were under a little bit more distress than some of these people that bail.
And more importantly, they're not criticizing people for staying. They're wonderful people.
Yeah.
They're still supportive of San Diego County gun owners.
yeah. So they moved out, but a good customer we had at that time, he decided to step up and buy the shop. So
Nice.
same employees,
Yep.
different owners. We still try to maintain that same level of customer service. Come in. We're not trying.
And I can tell you personally, they're awesome.
Yeah. What kind of business did you transact in Fallbrook?
I won a
How
gun.
did you find Fallbrook? First
I know where
off,
Fallbrook
Is
is.
it
you're
Thomas
all the way
Brothers?
out, and
Yeah, I got a Thomas guide. I have a Thomas guide. It's not hard to find.
so tell us
I'd
about your
won-
experience.
what was it? That was a barkeep
Yep. You want a little barkeep.
at your
Gun prom.
gun prom,
Nice.
and I said I have to go where. So I went and got my passport so that I could get over the 78 because you have to have a passport
Yeah,
to go north.
I heard
of
about
78.
that. I heard about that long.
And I walked in, and place was semi-packed. To be honest with you, a lot of people were in there. A lot of women were in there. This one little old lady just couldn't make a decision to save her life, but she was a sweetheart.
Oh,
And went through all the paperwork.
yeah.
Piece of cake. Then they were auctioning off a rifle.
Yep. We did, until the first. Yeah, we were.
But unfortunately,
raffles.
I did not win, so I've not been back.
You were there. You won a gun. That's why you were there.
I wanted the rifle.
You wanted to win another gun.
I wanted to win that, but I went across the street, had the best lunch I've had as far as barbecue goes.
Yeah, that barbecue place is really good. What's the name of that barbecue place?
That's the Firehouse Q and Brew.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, it's really
Super good.
Yep.
I'm starving.
Okay, so Fallbrook Guns, awesome shop. Used to be BB's.
Used to be BB's.
You guys sell everything.
Sell everything. Look for people. If people looking for something, obviously we'll look for it.
Yeah.
I like the educational aspect of the place.
Yeah.
Like when you walk in, you guys don't just say, okay, what do you want? All right, here it is. Have a nice day. You ask a lot of questions. Even though I won a gun, because I had some questions about it. I think I was talking about ammo and some other things. I mean, you really explained a lot more than I expected to get. I just thought I was going to go up and get my gun
And leave.
and leave.
Yeah,
but you
we weren't
wouldn't
going to
me.
let you do that.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
But it's a good environment because we have all at this table talked about when you go in, especially if you're a female, your intimidation is there. You guys, none of that. I mean, it was like going in and you knew everybody.
Yeah, and
I
we
think
try to
guys-
keep it hometown family
Right.
atmosphere.
Well, it's Fallbrook.
I think you want to hear. I think guys get more intimidated than women do when they go into a gun shop. Be honest with you.
What do you think?
And
I
here's
don't-
here's why. Here's why I
Okay,
say
here
that.
it comes.
Now, if you're a guy and you've been around guns or whatever, okay, fine. You're probably not
But
intimidated
what if you
going to a gun shop.
haven't?
If you haven't, I think
You
that
feel like there's an expectation.
there's an expectation. I think guys that don't really know a lot about guns are more intimidated going into a gun shop. Where I think women are just like, yeah, I'm not supposed to know about guns. That's not a societal requirement. Where guys, like, you're expected. To be a man, you're supposed to know
Well,
about
just
guns.
go watch John
So-
Wick, then go in.
Yeah. So I watch guys, like I've seen one. There's one. This one guy was asking about a Beretta, This was years ago, and you could tell he wanted this Beretta. Like, and he finally kind of edged up and was just like, "Hey, what do you think about that gun?" And the guy was like, "Oh God, I wouldn't touch that gun. In fact, He said I wouldn't be caught dead with that gun. If I were caught dead, it'd be because of that gun." And then he goes, "I wouldn't buy a gun without a 4 in front of the caliber. That's it." Well, this dude totally recoiled, and they kind of made his way out of the shop
and didn't buy a gun.
You could tell that I'm just standing there, watching this all happen. You could tell this was not at your shop. This is another shop that's been out of business for years now. You could tell this guy fell in love with this Beretta, went down to the gun shop, and he wanted this other guy to validate, "Oh, gosh, a Beretta, yeah," and that's what he should have done. I mean, it's sitting there on his shelf being ready to be sold. You don't bash it, So anyway, I think guys are more intimidated when they go into gun shops.
Yeah. So, my approach even with the training is what do you honestly see yourself doing with it?
It's a good question.
What's your goal?
What's your goal? What do you honestly see? Is it for home defense? Is it you want to take something out? You have somebody looking at a small gun, but if I talk to a female, I'm like, is it just home defense or do you honestly see yourself shooting it? She says, well, I want to go out and shoot it. Okay, don't buy a small gun. Buy a larger gun because it's going to absorb the recoil a lot better and you're going to have it more enjoyable and you're going to learn how to shoot it better. If you want a self-defense gun, then okay, that's a different story. So
what are you seeing in 2024? 2023 was kind of a rough year, wasn't it, for gun sales?
It was a rough year. This year started off pretty good, but I mean, if you look at the national NICS system check is down like 15% in sales for the month of, or background checks for the month of March. So hopefully we'll be coming back up here soon.
So, okay, you're going to stay with us on the show, so we're going to touch base with you throughout the show here, but what's the best way to get a hold of you?
You can reach me at practicalistactical.com. And
you got practicalistactical.com. That's a score.
That's mine.
I'm surprised. I can't believe no one had already taken that because that's a really good URL. Okay, practicalistactical.com. Jason Martin, any kind of training, shotgun, pistol, rifle,
night shooting, whatever you want to do. You want to do long range shooting? I'll show you how to do that too.
Fantastic.
All right.
Great job.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. This is Gun Owners Radio, FM 96.1. AM 1170,
The Answer.
Dave Stahl, a man of many interests.
I didn't think about that. I guess we'll cover ammo.
Okay.
Who's that?
Just don't go crazy.
What?
Brennan's crazy.
Duh.
I realize I could talk into the microphone
have,
possibly for this.
What else do I need to talk about here?
Well, we got some people on YouTube.
What are they?
Chat.
They have some questions?
They're just talking about competition shooting. They're talking about locations and matches.
Check out the calendar at
Yeah.
Paula.
Yep.
Second and fourth Sundays of every month is the various USPSCA and IPSC matches.
So we are actually live on YouTube right now. If you want to talk into the mic, they can hear you.
Okay, yeah. So for Paula Shooting Range, you go to the Paula Shooting Range website. There's a calendar which will actually tell you. So the first Sunday of the month is precision long rifle. So if you ever wanted to get into positional shooting, that's a good one. So that's held by the San Diego County Precision Rifle Club. And that's the first Sunday of every month. And then the second and fourth Sunday of every month are the 3-gun steel match, various ones, held by Linea del Fuego group up there out of Paula.
Nice. I like it. Dave, you okay? It's not time yet. You're good.
Nothing.
All right, folks, welcome back to Gun Owners Radio, FM 96.1 AM 1170.
The Answer.
Hey, Riverside, San Bernardino, gun grabbers are getting
Everywhere.
Oh, they're just all over the place.
We're infested with them.
like little rats. So let's face it, all these laws. Should I not say rats?
You can say rats. I think it's very appropriate description. Yeah,
I do too. Only the people that would use a gun to defend themselves. So guess what? You need to fight back. So do something. I mean, do something to defend your Second Amendment right. Join Inland Empire gun owners right now.
right now.
Yep. We're growing the 2A community and are getting more pro 2A officials elected. Membership is only $10 a month, and joining is really easy. Just go to iegunowners.com/join.
You just went up to Jason. You just went up to an event with in Inland Empire in Riverside, didn't you?
Yes, I just got back. I went right from there to here.
Oh wow! Talk a little bit about it.
So that was kind of they called it the CCW Riverside Symposium. So
Nice.
for that, it was hosted at Blackmore Ranch, and it was a great.
I'm not
event.
familiar with Blackmore Ranch. What goes on there?
It's just a private property that the owners will rent out to special events and stuff like that. So
We've had somebody on here that's involved with that.
Do they? I don't remember. I apologize. So you said Sheriff Bianco was there.
Yep. So the event started off with Sheriff Bianco coming up, introducing, going through all his, this is what we need to vote for. This is the stuff that's coming out for you, laying the groundwork that, hey, we as a law enforcement don't care if you own a firearm as long as it's legal,
Yeah.
And his full support behind the concealed carry, everything.
Chad's the best, man. Sheriff Bianco is absolutely hands down my favorite elected official.
Yeah.
I mean, I really can't think of anybody that's even close. I
Yeah.
mean, the guy's so rock solid.
Yep, and he went down through he's like, hey, it's you can say Democrat or Republic or whatever. He says, but the reality is that Riverside County is a predominantly Democratic county, and I'm over 70% approval ratings. The Democrats have been trying to knock him out of there, and they can't find anybody who's more popular than him to knock him out.
So he's a 70% approval rating from the voters.
From the voters,
He's approving like 100% of CCWs
Yes.
or something like that. But
Yeah.
the voters in Riverside, 70% approve of the job that he's doing.
Yes.
And this is a guy. Look at how tough it's been. I mean, this is COVID and the BLM riots and everything that's gone on, the fentanyl, everything that the governor has done to let criminals out. And I mean, this has been a very, very challenging time for elected officials, but especially law enforcement, especially sheriffs. And
I think more
Sheriff Bianco's
sheriffs
doing great.
I think more sheriffs could do exactly what he's doing if they had the nerve to do it.
Well, I think you're right.
Because he's going totally up against the establishment.
Oh, yeah, he certainly said is that the governor and the legislature absolutely hate him.
Oh, with a passion. And if more and more sheriffs would side with him, then I think Sacramento would have a different, way to look at things.
Well, and it's easy for people. Well, that's Riverside. They're totally different. Okay, yeah,
No,
Riverside has Marietta, but they also have Palm Springs.
yeah.
Palm Springs, not exactly conservative.
No.
Temecula, there's a lot of places that are at least purple, if not very blue. So the idea that, he can say that because he's in a all-red county is simply not true. There's no truth to that.
And he's protecting his constituents. They see the results of his way of doing business. And he's not catering to anybody.
Well, one of the things, we were talking, Jason, about people that come into your shop and say, hey, COVID's happening. I'm scared. I need to buy a gun. When something very serious is happening, all that political rhetoric, all the manipulative, terminology that the other side uses just goes away. People know the most effective self-defense tool, a gun. I'm going to go buy it. All this other stuff is just talk.
And that was something that he brought up this morning. He was like, look, Democrats own guns too.
Absolutely.
Probably more of them do.
And they recognize that, hey, my safety is more important than what you're telling me.
And then my politics.
Yeah.
So let's talk about something that's coming up here. I wanted to touch on politics up in Riverside. Thank you so much for talking about that. Like I said, I think Sheriff Bianco is doing such a good job, and I think we both agree. I think he's teeing himself up for something.
Oh, there was people wearing hats that said, you know what on it.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Like what? Bianco for governor?
Governor.
You know what?
Oh, it just said you don't know what?
Yeah, no, you know what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a couple things that are happening. We had an election, we had a primary, and so now things are already starting to look at November. And of course, one of the big races here in San Diego is for supervisor. There are 5 supervisors in the county. The county board of supervisors, that used to be like this sleepy little board that nobody cared about. Nobody even knew what they did. Hell, they gave away, the Republicans in the early 80s helped give away half of what they're responsible for by creating SANDAG. Thank you, Republicans. What happened was, COVID came in and people really realized how much power the county board has, especially when it comes to health and human services, that sort of thing. Democrats took over, the anti-gunners took over the county board of supervisors, and they are doing a horrific job. They really, truly made the case, hey, you know what? Put us in charge for a while. Get some Democrats. Let's take over this board. We're going to make things really great. You have 3 disasters, complete and total disasters. We talked about how one of them was caught using a racial slur, allegedly, and now she's being sued by the person she allegedly used the racial slur against, who allegedly was going to get hired. The other one is challenging speakers to a fight. Told her to
mutual combat.
Yeah, she'd step outside. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. But the worst is Tara Lawson-Ramer. She is absolutely a total, complete disaster. Even Republicans aren't all that fond of her. And we have Kevin Faulconer running. We've vetted him, met with him multiple times, gotten commitments from him, and we have endorsed them. And we really, really want to work hard. That is a race where it's truly winnable, but only if we work for it. If we do nothing, if you just go, all right, cool, I'll vote for him, or I'll put a meme up on Facebook, he's not going to win. But if you actually help, contribute to his campaign, volunteer, do the things that San Diego County Gun Owners is doing to get him elected, we could get him elected. Like, the effort will actually pay off in that district. He can get elected in that district. So I really want to bring people's attention to that. Now, you didn't see him on the primary vote because there were only 2 candidates, him and Tara Lawson-Ramer, who's extremely anti-gun. And is basically helping to control that board. Now the county board has turned anti-gun, which I can't even express. I can't tell you guys how important it is to make sure that board respects the Second Amendment. There's so much more damage they can do than like a city council even, or a mayor. The county board really truly does make decisions on things that happen that are really truly bad. But here's the spicy news. Tomorrow, the Republicans are having an endorsement meeting. Well, they're having their regular meeting, but it's going to turn into an endorsement meeting. One of the people they need to endorse is Jim Miller. We've talked about Jim. We've had him on the show. They're going to talk about whether or not to endorse him. It is so ridiculously lopsided. He's been a Republican for forever. His opponent just came out of the woodwork yesterday. Like, somebody has no experience being a Republican. The only political affiliation or activity we can find is him endorsing and raising money for an anti-gun Democrat. So this guy's just coming out of the woodwork. No history. He hasn't ever helped anybody get elected. Hasn't ever raised any money. Hasn't done anything for your Second Amendment rights. And still, the Republican Party are going, I don't know. Let's see how this pans out. It's completely ridiculous. They need to endorse him tomorrow.
Why aren't they doing Jim?
Good question. I don't know. The funny thing is, tomorrow there are 2 races, and this is where I was going, or 2 races they're going to talk about. This is where I was going. So you have 2 Republicans running in the Assembly in East County. You have Andrew Hayes and Carl DeMaio. And they endorsed Andrew Hayes extremely early, and now they're fighting doing a dual endorsement because they have 2 candidates, 2 viable candidates in the race, and they're fighting doing a dual endorsement. Whereas with Jim Miller, they're kind of balking on endorsing it all and kind of doing this whole, well, there's 2 Republicans in the race, and gee golly gosh, and we don't really know. Where meanwhile, you have this other race with Carl DeMaio and Andrew Hayes, where they're like, well, we endorsed this one guy, we don't want to do a dual endorsement. So they're talking out of both sides of their mouth. I'm fairly convinced the Republican Party is going to screw this up because that's what they do best. Well, they never miss an opportunity to miss an opportunity. The best case scenario tomorrow is that they say, hey, We're going to dual endorse in the assembly race because Carl's earned it and Andrew's earned it. And then we're going to endorse Jim Miller in his race because he's definitely earned it. I don't know if that's what's going to happen, but I can tell you that's one of the reasons we took over the Central Committee, and it was a big part Carl DeMaio, but we worked together to pick candidates for the Central Committee and get them elected. And something like it was something like 40 of the 30 or of the 45 that we picked got into office. So that's really, really good. Unfortunately, they don't actually take their seat until December. So we're still working with the people we kicked out, which, so we're going to see what's happened. But I wanted to let everybody know in the audience a couple things. I wanted to let them know how great Sheriff Bianco is doing up in Riverside. And thank you for talking about that. I wanted to make sure that everybody's focused on Kevin Faulkner's race. And then I wanted to let you know what was going on with Jim Miller and his East County race for school board. He's, of course, the Miller on the assault weapons ban case, that Miller case. We cannot allow him to not get reelected. And then talk about what's going on with Andrew Hayes and Carl DeMaio, what's going on with that race. I don't know. I really hope that after the changes are made with the Republican Party that we see a complete change in the San Diego Republican Party because, man, for the last 10, 15 years, it's just been such a joke. Anyway, there you go. There's your political update, Dave.
All right, I'm ready for it. This is Gun Owners Radio, FM 96.1 AM 1170.
The answer.
Just if there's any updates in the Baird Bonta or Duncan Road Miller.
Well, don't you think we would say if there was?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like what update does he want?
Who is it?
It's in court. Oh, well, still, I don't know what he wants to know. I don't know when people ask me that. I don't know what they want to know.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Go to.
Yeah, I got.
You can always get an update, everybody, by going to sdcgo.org/lawsuits. You can always get an update there. There's always the latest information. So just go to sdcgo.org/lawsuits, and there's always an update.
Commenting on your rats comment. I say what you will about it, but I was watching a movie with Tim Heidecker, and he's like an anti-comedian, like he's supposed to be not funny but makes him funny. And he did a movie where he was running for a district attorney for San Bernardino County, and he kept calling his opponent a rat. And so what he did was he made posters, and he went to restaurants. He's like, "Hey, can I put this up? This is just to attack my politician." Like, "Oh, sure." And so he puts it up at all the restaurants, and it says, "We have a rat problem."
What?
Who is this?
Who?
Tim Heidecker. It's a real. The movie was.
Oh,
awful.
it was a
It's
movie.
A really boring movie. I don't suggest watching it.
And it was in San Bernardino.
It took place in San Bernardino.
That's funny.
That's funny.
You guys are good. You guys.
How come it's dead?
That's because I turned it down, and we're on automation. So everything's playing
Automation?
everything's playing automatic.
Autopilot?
Autopilot, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, DOJ is certainly dragging their feet on issuing.
They drag their feet on everything.
What did you
They-
get to qualify?
Post.
You got the post?
Yep.
How'd you get it?
I took it
Riverside?
Through Riverside in December, so I was one of the first classes that took that.
How much do they charge you for it?
700.
That's it? Because I was all the ones that I found that were civilian non-LEO were about $1,500 and up.
Yeah, so I don't know if they're still running it, but they were still running them like once a month. So you spend a week up there, and it's an awesome
Riverside.
shooting center.
I think that's the one that I.
We were gonna have one in Escondido, but
the one
after they
that-
expanded it and said, "Hey, NRA," and they were looking. It was about $700 they were looking at charging. How did you feel? How did you feel about the post curriculum?
I liked the post curriculum from a CCW perspective. It didn't have anything to do with CCW. It was strictly firearms training.
That's what. So I was talking to the guy from Carlsbad, a guy from Carlsbad. I forget what he was, lieutenant maybe, and that's what he was saying. He was like, I don't. He said he was the first 10 minutes of the conversation with him. He was so confused. He was like, it has nothing to do with CCW. I don't understand.
It was simply it was great training, but it was all about shooting and then how to go in and teach. So it was all teach backs. Okay, here's your assignment now. I want you to teach this. I want you to teach how to do mag changes, how to interact. Because California Post is really about, obviously, to standardize on how to train law enforcement officers.
Right.
So that all officers are trained in a particular way, in a particular manner.
They're teaching you how to teach.
They're teaching you how to teach.
Well, that makes sense, I suppose.
So that was a good aspect. It helps put it in perspective on there. But it made absolutely no sense on why that would make you a better instructor for CCW when most of CCW is classroom,
Right.
not range.
Did you hear that news about 2 weeks ago, I think, or about a week ago in Las Vegas? There was they found a bunch of guns that were stolen from a Poway shooting.
Oh, really? Yeah, I heard
Yeah,
Poway
that
got
was- they
robbed.
they stole a vehicle, ran the vehicle into the front.
And
they stole about 80.
I was trying to figure it out.
It was about a week and a half ago
Yeah, I know.
They stole 80 guns?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
out of Poway. They ran a stolen vehicle. But
They
Poway would line up in front of their entrance safes to kind of slow or stop or prevent entry. Well, they just ran a stolen vehicle in to blow that open.
I was trying to figure that out.
Smash and grab.
They found some of the
They didn't
stolen
have
ones.
poles?
They found all the stolen.
No,
All
not
of
yet.
They were
But
able to
I
find
bet you
them
they
all.
will
It was
now.
at a
Yeah,
hotel in
Why wouldn't
Las
you have
Vegas.
poles?
So,
yeah. I'm
Wonder
sure
how
they're.
that
Poway
happened.
would, because they have that nice big front entrance. that
Mhm.
you can
I'm
drive
sure they're gonna
side by
sink.
side.
You can drive, yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna say
they're
you can
gonna
drive
sink
anything
some
through there.
bars now. Yeah, they found some of them.
I saw this interview with this dude. He's retired. He retired a little early, but he retired, and he's like, all I want to do is surf. I just want to hang out on the beach and just surf. That's all I want to do. And he had like this 32-foot motorhome or whatever. And the place where he's been going for forever put a limit and said, you can only have 25-foot vehicles. So he went out and bought a truck with a big box in the back, like something you'd see somebody hauling like paper goods or whatever,
Right.
like this big, huge, nondescript 25-foot like truck, like a freight,
Put his bed in it and said, the hell with it.
No, he built that thing out, and it's like the nicest apartment.
Oh,
I've ever
now
seen.
you got, is that your new thing now?
And, well, I actually had thought of it before. I was like, I wonder if he's ever done it. Well, he did it. And the back is, he took the roll up, and it's like doors and a porch.
Turned it into a little.
Yeah.
All right, folks, welcome back to Gun Owners Radio, FM 96.1 AM 1170.
The answer.
Hey,
Hey.
if you're a gun owner, and if you ever need to use your gun to protect yourself or your loved ones, you need legal protection. Even if you do everything right, even if you're 100% justified, you should be prepared for the legal battle after your self-defense battle. That's why you need firearms legal protection. When you join, you get uncapped legal protection for self-defense, for civil or criminal cases, with a 24/7 hotline. Joining is easy. Just go to firearmslegal.com and click on Become a Member. Use code GOR for a discount. Enjoy the peace of mind knowing that you are protected. If you are ever involved in a self-defense incident, firearmslegal.com and use discount code GOR.
Okay, subscribe and win. Subscribe to our email list and win some swag. This week's winner is Alan. Thank you. Alan. I don't know how to say that. Pie chart? It almost looks like pie chart, doesn't it? Petchert. P-E-I-C-H-E-R-T. How do you say that?
I think that's a good guess. Yeah.
P-shirt.
Peachert?
I'd say P-shirt.
Alan Peachert. Alan P. All you got to do is email us at prizes@gunownersradio.com to claim your T-shirt or hat, whatever you would like. I would highly recommend that if you want a T-shirt, you let us know what size. That will ensure success. Anyway, congratulations, Alan. All you got to do is go to gunownersradio.com, sign up for our email list, and you could win. Hey, so being a CCW instructor, we were just talking about this. SB2 came out, and there were a bunch of pieces parts to SB2, but one that potentially affected you directly was they redefined how to get certified. They actually centralized how to get certified to be a CCW instructor.
Yep.
And so they just came out with a finalized version, which looks like it wasn't as bad as it was going to be, but still kind of a pain in the butt. But you went and got post certified, right?
Yes, I went and got post certified up in Riverside.
Which stands
in
for what?
December.
Post stands for
Police Officer Standardized Training.
Nice. Which was looking like it was going to be just BSS. What BSIS?
BSIS.
And post were going to be the only two ways, and it's not easy. I mean, it was expensive. It took a week of your time.
Yep.
But now you can get certified with some of the NRA qualifications, which
And
is
I-
very good.
So I already have USCCA. I have all the NRA. So post just adds kind of like I've got the triple Lindy of it all.
The triple Lindy, nice. The triple Lindy of them. All right, good. So you have USCCA, you have post, and you have
and
NRA.
And NRA.
Inside the home and outside the home and
Yep.
under the home and above the home and
All around the home.
all around the home.
I have a bit of a correction to make too to a statement that I made last week.
Uh-oh.
So see, I hadn't done it yet, so I was
Breaking
not aware. I know
news.
I was wrong. So make a note. So no, so outside the home, I had made a statement last week. You had asked about the time commitment and the cost of it. I was unaware because I hadn't done it yet. I had inside. I did not have outside the home correction.
Yeah.
And our friend Mike Pettingill was kind enough to inform me in my error.
Oh, good.
It's not a 1-day course. It's 3.
3-day course.
Yep, it was a 3-day course.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Mike
So-
Pettingill from what's the name of his? I always forget. Up in he's up
Stronghold.
in Riverside. No.
Nope, it's not strong.
Defense.
Oh man! All right, we'll get back. Now you got to correct us,
Uh-oh.
Mike. I know you're listening, so now you got to correct us.
Oh,
Tell us
come
what the
on,
name of
Mike.
your what the name of your shop is. Santa Rosa County. Santa Rosa County, for those who don't know, is up above San Francisco. It's about as night and day as it gets, too, man. San Francisco and Santa Rosa, very different places. Santa Rosa County Sheriff recommending homeowners shoot home invaders. Now that's I don't know. How do you, Jason? How do you feel when you see law enforcement kind of making these
Blanket
brazen
statements.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like I don't know.
That's kind of like the people coming into the gun shop or in the training says, "Well, my neighbor, the cop, said if you shoot somebody, drag them inside."
yeah.
And
Shoot him until he's dead.
Yeah,
You hear that a lot too. Yeah.
No, my answer is always no.
Yeah, I don't know. We actually there's a sheriff out in Florida that I like him too. I can't remember his name, but we interviewed him. But going into the interview, I was watching some of the statements he made, and now he convinced me. He did a really good job, but it's I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if maybe I'm affected by the fact that I live here in California. And we cannot message the Second Amendment the same in California as they do in Oklahoma or Kansas. We just can't. No. We have to message this thing differently. So when they do something like that, when something like that is said, and 9 out of 10 times when you go listen, it wasn't quite what the law enforcement guy said, but some journalist needed a headline, so they totally distorted it. But that's the danger. That's why we can't message things the same way that you'd message in Oklahoma or whatever. All right, Alicia, go for it. Mike Pettingill from
Personal Protection Academy.
Personal Protection Academy.
I was thinking Stronghold Dynamics, which, yeah, that's where I was mixing it up.
Thank you, Mike Pettingill.
That's it.
What is have you been following, what do they mean by a zombie gun? Have you followed that at all?
Oh, yeah.
What's I know what a ghost gun is, but now what's a zombie gun?
So the zombie gun is mostly where you have the police buybacks, where they do the buybacks, and then the buybacks are free to the police departments because they collect the firearms, and then they turn it over to a company who's actually doing the ATF disassembly of the firearm and destroying what's called the registered part, the actual serialized part of the firearm. In order for them to do it for free, they get to keep the excess parts, and then they sell them. So if you have an old gun that you're trying to rebuild or whatever, you can buy those parts like screws and springs and things like that. So therefore, they're calling them zombie guns.
That's what they're mad at?
That's what they're mad at.
So police, oh my God.
It's almost like a junkyard for guns.
Yes.
You've got like an old out of production vehicle you
like
need
a
a part
pet-
for, you go to the junkyard.
It's a pet cemetery for guns.
Yes. Well, have you seen the guns that come in during buybacks?
Yeah.
I mean, we had a lady come into the shop a couple of weeks ago. Her husband passed away, and he had all these firearms. And she says, "Well, we were going to the buyback at the mall, and Only reason we couldn't go through was because we had the dog in the car.
Yeah.
So we decided to come here, and we're like, oh my God, they had all, some really nice old guns. And we're like, yeah, if we can consign all these, you're probably going to walk away with about $2,000 to $3,000.
Wow. Rather than the $50
$50
Target
gift cards that they were going to give them.
So let's talk about gun buybacks. And we should probably do like a segment, but I don't know. Part of me is like, you know what? If somebody is that ignorant, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but if they really truly are that ignorant to this whole situation, I kind of don't care. Go to a gun buyback then. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But I've thought for years, and buyback, which by the way is a misleading term in and of itself. Buyback would indicate that it was ever, So, but I definitely thought that I would. It's always kind of being on a back burner to approach law enforcement, the sheriff, whatever, police chief, and say, hey, work with the local FFLs. Like if you're doing it in North County, then get a hold of Fallbrook Arms or Fallbrook Guns and say, hey, just stand here, and if it's a $1,000 antique, offer them, fair market value for it. But if it's a, total piece of junk, then we'll just take it and give them the $50 target. Seems like a win-win.
Yeah, it does.
But now they're mad from just taking pieces parts and turning
now
them.
It's going to cost the taxpayer more because now law enforcement agencies will now have to buy back something that wasn't bought, give money, and then they got to pay for the destruction.
I didn't realize that's what they were talking about.
That's
with
what
this
they're
zombie.
talking about. So now when you buy back a gun, it means it has to be completely destroyed under those new rules of zombie guns.
So so let's just go back over some terminology here. We have ghost guns, we have zombie guns. I have a Frankenstein gun. You know what a Frankenstein is? Where my AR is a total Frankenstein gun. We got to think of like a Dracula gun. What would that be? Or maybe a mummy gun.
Would that be an AR with a wooden stake and a cross sights or something?
There you go.
Shooting silver bullets?
Unbelievable.
I'm a bigger fan of Frankenstein guns than I am zombie or ghost guns.
Me too. All right, let's take a quick break. This is Gun Owners Radio, FM 96.1 AM 1170.
The answer.
We all know that aches and pains come with simply getting older.
It was all because of a New York Post article that followed through, like somewhere in Michigan or something, that followed through the lineage of what happens when they do the gun buyback.
Of course.
It's unreal.
The good guns never get destroyed, I guarantee it.
Well, the ones
I
that
hope
they're
not.
trying to get off the street, it's like I told the lady, I was like, how many, is somebody really going to come in with a single shot 22 and rob somewhere? Is that really the gun of gang choice for inner city? No. They want to get the Glocks and the handguns and stuff, but they almost never get those guns back. They're just
All these idiots are doing is they can say, well, we took back this many guns.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but they're not any gun anybody would ever want to use in a crime.
Yep.
I had a friend of mine, guy that his landlord lived upstairs from him, and he had more money than God, but he was like a hermit, had no gas, no electricity, slept on an army cot, but he was surrounded by guns. He had more guns than he could shake his stick, all vintage. He says he went and seen some, flintlocks, he had all kinds of stuff. So when he died, of course, cops came, took every gun and put it in the trunk of the police car and left. No receipt, nobody, nothing. So those never got destroyed.
In the old days, no, they would not have. My dad was a cop, and he used to always come home.
My dad was a cop, too.
Always come home with something new that he finally got at the end of whatever court case.
Well, I was telling these guys, my dad gave me a gun. He says, when I moved to San Diego, he says, whatever you do, don't shoot it. Don't kill anybody with it. And what the hell is that supposed to mean? Just telling you, don't ever shoot it. I was like, okay.
Shoot it. Just look at it.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm sure your dad had probably his nightstick was modified, drilled out, lead inside and all that.
No, because back then they could actually carry billy clubs and
Saps
lead
and
slaps.
Right?
You guys were talking about that a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Not nowadays. All right, folks. This is Gun Owners Radio, FM 96.1 AM 1170.
The answer.
Hey, Not Me is for women, by women, and is designed to help women with training, purchasing a gun, and getting a concealed carry permit. And guess what? It's free. If you are a woman or you know a woman who needs help, have her sign up, and we'll give her the help she needs. So to sign up, guess what? Just go to notmesd.org, and it's free.
All right, our next guest is one of my favorites,
Mine too.
John Correa from Active Self-Protection.
Not mine.
John, how you doing, man?
I'm great. How are you doing, Mike?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us again. Always a pleasure to have
Sure.
you here. I've been doing a
It's a
thing.
pleasure to be had. Wait, that's weird.
I've been doing a thing, John, and I think that you'd be perfect for it. I've been asking a question of a bunch of experts, and the question basically is, back in 1911, they made a gun. A guy made a gun, and it was so ahead of its time. You know, I think people forget just how ahead of its time it was. You know, because now there are so many options. You know, there are other modern semi-automatic pistols that are more advanced, more reliable, whatever. People don't really realize that, hey, in 1911, this 1911 may as well have been a spaceship. I mean, it really, truly, when everybody else was, they were still using, Colt Army revolvers. And it was such an advancement. It was so ahead of its time. I think people forget that. And so my question is to folks like you, experts who know, is why did it take so long for the 1911 or semi-auto pistols to overtake revolvers? I would say it wasn't until the 80s when revolvers really, really started to, take a back burner and semi-autos really, really became popular. And I'm not even sure I'd credit it to the 1911 directly. I think it was other semi-autos that really kind of took things over. But if a 1911 was so advanced, why did it take so long for it to overtake the popularity of revolvers?
Well, Mike, I would turn that question back to you and ask, in the vast majority of almost everything that happens in the United States of America, what drives it?
Money.
Money. And
Yeah.
that's the answer.
I was going to say Hollywood.
There's your answer at the bottom line. I think it's actually a complicated answer. There's multiple kind of, including factors that do that. So first of all, again, the 1911 wasn't invented in 1911. It was adopted by the Army in 1911. It's actually in its final form kind of finalized by John Moses Browning in late 1909. But because the patent was issued on Valentine's Day of 1911 and then adopted by the Army in 1911, they call it the 1911. So, and for its day, an excellent design that won the competition against a Ruger competitor because it was incredibly reliable. But of course, it was incredibly reliable because every single part in it was hand fit. And every single part of the 1911 is a handmade gun. And so remember, the 1911 was designed and was invented when labor was cheap and manufacturing was expensive. We now live in a day where manufacturing is cheap and labor is expensive. So it's a very different kind of way to see that. That's not my phrase. Tom Gibbons came up with that kind of comparison. But so then if you think a little forward, right? So, we go to war for a bunch of years, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, and yes, they're investing a bunch of time and money into military grade weapons, but that's not really pulling into the private sector or into the law enforcement world all that much. Really, the world of law enforcement training was pretty static, and law enforcement practice was pretty static through that time. And that's why you see, Mayberry and Barney Fife, and Sheriff Andy, and they're not even carrying guns, And so, and even for a while there, our police officers were carrying their firearms concealed. And that's kind of some of the rest of it too, is the 19 by God 11 is a large pistol. It's a full size gun. They made officer size, but it's a big gun. And it wasn't really until Jeff Cooper founds the American Pistol Institute, which became Gunsight in the 70s, that, and of course, you got to understand Colonel Cooper's history too, right? He's a Marine Corps colonel, served in World War II, served in Korea, and then within about 15 years of getting out of the service, he realized, man, the marksmanship, especially with pistols, is declining in America. They're not maintaining what we kind of had. And so he founds the American Pistol Institute, which becomes Gunsight. Well, his training is with the 19 by God 11. And so because he's a Marine, that's what they had. That was the pistol in their manual. Of course, it wasn't their primary primary firearm. That would be silly. You'd never go to war with a pistol. And there were some other semi-automatic pistols, but they just weren't as reliable, and they didn't offer as much in terms of a return on investment as you could get for either like a Colt or a Smith & Wesson revolver. So it wasn't until, honestly, in the mid-'80s, it's back in 1980, Gaston Glock invented, he started the Glock firearms company to put in a bid on the pistol for the Austrian army. They adopted it because he was a manufacturing designer of composites. And so he designed a gun that was stupid cheap to make and met all of the requirements of the Austrian army. So it's called the Glock 17. They had 17 requirements. His pistol met all 17. There you go. And it was stupid cheap. And so then in the mid-'80s, when he started approaching U.S. law enforcement in order to raise his sales, the amount of money he was able to sell them to American law enforcement agencies for was a fraction of what a quality Colt or Smith & Wesson revolver would cost them. And so that's what really drove the transition in American law enforcement, which, of course, the private civilian sector usually lags law enforcement by about 10 years or so is what we've tended to see. I think that's changing a little bit now with the internet, but that's what we historically saw. So why the lag? Well, because to get a real reliable semi-automatic pistol, you had two of them after World War II, which were the 1911 or Browning's really kind of ultimate design, which was the Browning High Power, right? The Grande Puissance, as it were. And so those guns were expensive to manufacture because they require labor. They require a gunsmith. They require hand fitting. They require a lot of maintenance. And so it was just cheaper for law enforcement organizations to outfit with revolvers. And really that was all the way kind of until the Newhall incident where they finally started seeing, man, we're outgunned here and we need to kind of change what we're doing in order to get more with the times.
The incident you're talking about was the shootout in Miami that everybody heard.
Yeah. The Miami shootout was huge.
Yeah. Well, that's
and their little 38 cap guns. They're trying their best to kill two guys who were doing their very best to kill them back and mostly succeeding. So some of that was, a result of that. Of wow, we need to we're outgunned here and we need to do something about it.
It's really very interesting. So would you say? Do you think in 1911 was over designed? Was it more than anybody needed until the 70s or 80s?
No, I think, the funny part is that if you look through, even through before that, if you look at the gangsters of the 30s, you look at Bonnie and Clyde, they actually were carrying Browning automatic rifles, for goodness sakes.
Yeah.
They were carrying Thompson submachine guns, and they're actually known for a 1911 pistol that was the trigger was modified to allow for full auto fire, and then they put a Thompson forend on it and extended magazines and had a machine pistol. And that's a pretty formidable tool in bank robberies and those kinds of things. Surprisingly accurate too. So I think that specifically after the era of the gangsters in the 20s and 30s, that tamped down a little bit World War II and the kind of 1950s, we had a real kind of decline in some of those things. And so there wasn't a need in American law enforcement because we were really thinking about foreign policy and overseas and fighting the commies than we were worried about domestic crime in that area.
I do think domestic crime, the spike in violent crime, I don't even know if there was so much a spike in violent crime as there was a spike in covering violent crime.
Yep.
Suddenly everybody's got a TV. Everyone's hearing about all the violent crime that's going on. So I'm not even sure it was an actual spike as much as it was a spike in reporting. Kind of the normalization of violent crime. Like, hey, we just have this now. Like, everyone could be a victim now.
Right. I think it's even worse today with social media and it's not even a 24-hour news cycle anymore. I mean, it's just, you can see things from all around the world and worry about them in ways you never could before.
I really do wonder. I got to tell you, John, I can't tell you how many times I've watched something and I start to wonder, did this stuff just always happen? But now everyone's got a, camera in their pocket and now we're seeing it, or is the world getting worse? And I have no.
The funny part is we've had a spike in violent crime the last year or so, but we're still relatively close to historical lows. And this year, not as good as last year. And the FBI reporting has been a little dicey the last year or two because of the systems they're requiring law enforcement agencies to use. But, we are near historic lows of violent crime in America. And
doesn't feel like
people
it, though.
Don't recognize that.
It doesn't
feel like it because they're able to see so much, but it's safer than it's ever been. Now's the time to send your kids down to the park to play because stranger kidnappings are at all-time low. Violent crimes at an all-time low. It's way safer than when you and I were kids.
Wow. And I think that definitely had an impact on the type of things that people carry for self-defense. I remember when I was a kid, I was in like 7th or 8th grade. I think it was in 8th grade. This has been late 80s. And our school resource officer had a semi-auto. And I remember commenting to him on that. And he said, it's time that he said it's a 9mm and it's time we start carrying what the bad guys carry. And that always stuck with me for some reason. But hey, John, we're gonna continue this conversation on the other side of the commercial, my friend.
Sounds great.
All right, folks, this is Gun Owners Radio, FM 96.1, AM 1170.
The Answer.
We all know that aches and pains come with simply...
Question. He already just got all that 1911 info in his head, ready to go.
Nah, I prepared. We talked.
Well,
I mean, he already had all this.
I'm
But
sure he
we
did.
talked earlier this week a little bit.
I use I like to throw, if I have time permitting in my CCW classes, I always throw in a video of his or two, just to kind of show and just as a discussion point, real life self-defense stuff. Like there's the one that I always like to show is there's one where, I don't know if you've seen this. Do you watch his active protection?
I used
So-
like 3 of his videos.
Yeah. So one of my favorites that I always throw in, and I don't recall the name of the guy who did this, but he was at it was like a Rite Aid in I believe Virginia, and the pepper spray. Yep, that's one because that one it really brings up a whole lot of discussion points, and it really kind of is just because you can talk about concepts and mock scenarios, but it really kind of it brings to life the reality of fear.
I like the one of the Texas restaurant last year.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good talking point for excessive use, even though the guy was acquitted.
Mm-hmm.
I like the
Talk about the Texas taco shop one? Yeah. Okay.
The racial, the little known one is like a racial slur one.
I don't know that I.
Some white guys picking on some black guys,
Mm-hmm.
and then a guy comes running in, and then he ends up shooting him
Mm-hmm.
and running out. And of course, the good part of the video is the guy's on the phone, tells where he's put his gun at. He gets on the ground, so when the police
Mhm.
show up,
Right.
they're calm. So that's a good video.
Yep.
And then the getting involved in third-party encounters, the Las Vegas Walmart shooting.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
He
Oh
carried
yeah.
over and lost his life.
Yep. Because there was a trailing assailant.
Yep.
Yep.
He has definite opinions on it.
All right, folks, welcome back to Gun Owners Radio, FM 96.1, AM 1170.
The Answer.
Hey, do you belong to an association, a club, or a members-based organization with a bad website? It looks old, it's hard to use, it just doesn't help your group grow. Maybe you didn't know, but Sage Tree specializes in helping member-based organizations. They help SDCGO and have also helped other companies like the YMCA, National City Chamber of Commerce, and more. They can help you with your website, membership dues, and emails and social media. Leave frustration behind and call Sage Tree today. Getting started is easy. Visit sagetree.com and click on the Schedule an Appointment button. That's sagetree.com and click on the Schedule an Appointment button.
You okay, Dave?
Yeah.
All right.
Choking up here.
He gets emotional.
Yeah, it's a tough show.
Jason, do you know John Correa?
I have watched tons of his videos. I love watching them. I love all of his little sayings. He just rattles them off out there.
I think the first time you and I met was in a church in Fallbrook, which is where Jason's from. You came to
Yeah. I think that was, gosh, man, what, 2017, something like that?
It was a long time ago. It's a long
Couple
time
years
ago.
ago. Yeah, man.
Lots happened. The world's changed. So, John Correa from Active Self Protection, ASP. You've definitely seen him on the internet. How many defensive gun use videos have you studied now?
We've probably seen and analyzed somewhere north of 50,000 at this point. More come in every day. I sat today. I know it's Sunday, right? I shouldn't have, but I did. And looked at 10 more today, and we've got about 4,000 of them analyzed and really kind of looked over on our YouTube channel. So about 700 of those are badge cams, officer-involved incidents, and the remainder are almost all private citizens and surveillance video.
I think the last time I heard the number, it was 30,000. I don't remember how long ago that was. I'm trying to remember what it was the first time. I want to say it was like, in that church in Fallbrook, I want to say it was like 10,000, and now you're all the way up to 50, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm backed up right now to the place where, so for every one we analyze and put out on YouTube and on our own apps, we have about 10 that we don't. That, yeah, we've done that less than 100 times. I don't know that it adds anything. I don't know that shows us enough, those kinds of things. And if all violent crime in the world stopped today, I have about 3 years of content waiting.
Wow.
So when something comes in, first off, now I'm kind of curious about your process. So do you like block out time? You're like, hey, tomorrow for an hour, I'm just gonna analyze video, and then you're like engaged. You're sitting there with a piece of paper and a pencil, or is it more laid back than that?
So it starts with about 99% of what we get are sent to us by fans. So we have a dedicated email address. We also have people send it to our Facebook page, and I have, just my personal friends are always sending me stuff. And that all goes to one person, one staff member, Becca Smith, who is amazing, and she correlates everything. She puts everything together, and so she'll cull through, because, of course, if there's like a big one that goes a little viral, we'll get it 100 times.
Right.
And so she'll pull that down into, here's a news story, here's the best news story, here's the best version of the raw that I can find. And then she'll send me a whole group of tabs. And so she might send me at one time 500 tabs. And I will burn my computer down throwing those up. And basically I'll do them in waves. So I'm like, okay, I need to have some new videos, make some new intros, do some things, do some analysis. And so I'll throw a whole bunch of tabs up and start looking through them. And I don't expect her to obviously be kind of as in tune with it as I am. She might, there might be one that we did 5 years ago, because I've been doing this for almost 10 years now.
Yeah. How long does it take? Like, you get a 30-second defensive gun use video. How long does that one video take you to analyze?
I always tell folks that probably the analysis part, to go find news stories, to make sure I understand what happened, to see the video and say, are there good lessons here? Are there good things that we can get out of this? You're probably talking about 90 minutes to 2 hours per video. And
wow. Jeez.
And then per. I mean, now again, sometimes that's less in that end. And by 90 minutes to 2 hours, I probably mean the entire process, right?
Yeah.
So that's not only selecting it. Okay, I see it. I see the raw video. Yep, I've got that. Wow, that one's interesting. Do I have that? Now, sometimes to go find the news stories, to understand, to read, because sometimes you get a lot of stuff in there, or to find the right stuff takes some time. Sometimes it's very easy and it just kind of floats right to the surface. And importing that into editing software, doing the hard work of getting the footage right, of seeing what there is to see, deciding what lessons we're going to focus on. If I have a co-host, because twice a week Mike Williver, our badge camp co-host, is on with me once a week. Neil Widener, our CMO, is on with me once a week. Stephanie Widener, our CEO, is on with me. And so then I got to coordinate with them. Here's what we're doing. Here's how that works. And then we got to do the voiceovering and kind of give the lessons. And then we got to do post-production and edit and upload.
So I haven't seen you have a fantastic seminar, 21 lessons learned. Have you added a lesson?
34 now.
Okay, I was going to ask. Okay, so it was 21 lessons, and I got to tell you, there are very few people. I'm so smart and good at everything. There are very few people that actually influence me to do something differently, and you are one of those people who have influenced me to do something differently. I don't carry an extra mag.
What's that?
I don't carry an extra mag ever. I do carry a tourniquet or an IFAC, some kind of personal first aid kit. So that was one of the lessons.
And I always say, look, if you can carry both, go ahead. That's great. Yeah. But if you can only carry one or the other, you'll probably use the medical equipment far before you'll ever use a spare mag, because I've never seen a private citizen use any rounds from a secondary source of ammunition in a gunfight in any capacity.
That's what you said. And at the time, it was like 25,000 or whatever. So that really, really changed what I did. I was carrying an extra mag around. I didn't really have a tourniquet. I didn't really have an IFAC. And I thought, this guy just made an excellent point. Plus, I have a Glock 19 with normal capacity magazines. So I have, 16 rounds on me, which should be, hopefully, any situation I'm in should be more than enough. But I wasn't carrying any kind of medical with me at all. And now I do. And that was totally based on your research, your recommendation, watching the 21 lessons learned. So give us one of the new. So you said you're up to 34. So you've added an additional 13. What's an additional? What's a lesson? What's your favorite of the new 13 that you've added?
Yeah, I mean, gosh, there's so many that we think about all the time. The ones that are the biggest ones all the time are, of course, pay attention in your surroundings, because most people don't realize they're in a fight until they're in the middle of the fight. And if you can see it coming, you've got yourself a whole lot of advantage there. Number two is, of course, carry your gun. You cannot have a gunfight if you are not armed. You can only get in a shooting, and that's not what you want, especially on the bad end of it. So in terms of some of the new ones, I think that there's an awful lot of stuff that that people want to sell you products and services, or sometimes even training, that's not real valuable to your life. And that if we're paying attention, we now have a very large body of evidence of how real gunfights go. And so we don't have to really rely on sea stories much anymore, or the no joke there I was stories. Now, that said, one of the lessons that I'm big on is I'm an ambassador for Force Science, and I'm a Force Science analyst and those things, is that the video evidence is critically important, but it does not tell the whole story. So it does not tell us what people saw. It doesn't tell us what they were thinking. It doesn't, it has some perspective skewing that we have to be very careful of. So, we have instances like there was a very famous video not too long ago here. It was a badge cam of an officer that thought he was shot and thought somebody had shot at him from the back of his patrol car, when in reality an acorn had fallen on the back of his patrol car.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we called that one the acorn heard round the world. And in the end, that officer's actions were deemed out of policy and unreasonable. His sergeant, on the other hand, her actions were deemed within policy and reasonable, even though she took shots at the car as well. And so a lot of people condemned both of them. But as we really dug through a lot of their interviews and a lot of the actual investigative reports, you go, okay, based on what she saw and based on the totality of circumstances she was looking at, what she did was not ideal, but was probably reasonable. And while I think he was wrong in what he did, it wasn't so egregiously stupid that this guy's a moron. And so you got to get beyond the video evidence a little bit to get the totality to understand why people do what they do. And I've seen that a bunch because I do expert witness work now. And of course, if there's video evidence involved, they do tend to call me a little bit because that's kind of my bag. And so, but there's more to it than the video. You got to get a composite picture from everything.
That's interesting. I just heard about a guy. It was a A DGU guy pulled from concealment. He was being chased by a road rage person, and the road rager threw a bottle at his. After threatening him and saying he had a gun, threw a bottle at his car, and the impact of the bottle, he thought he was being shot at. So I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
Like you're under stress and pressure, you know. I get it. I mean, it's hilarious that an acorn hits his car, and we like to make fun of law enforcement and their ability to shoot. So I get the joke and support it, but
that he couldn't shoot worth a darn.
yeah, exactly right.
Because that guy that was sitting in the back in handcuffs is trying to hunker down in the back of the car, going, "Help me, Jesus!" He's got nothing he can do but hope the bullets don't hit him, and then none of them did. So that guy's going to jail for a while, and so he'll have the best sticky buns and best ramen in cell block C.
Another lesson.
He's going to get paid.
I don't remember if this is one of the 21, but another thing I took away that something I really liked learning from you is that, yes, there's a difference between cover and concealment, but in the real world, there's no difference between cover and concealment. That even if people,
there really isn't.
If people can shoot through something, they mentally won't. They don't think they can. And I remember two of the examples. One was a guy was hiding behind a potato chip display,
Yep.
which isn't bulletproof.
I've literally seen a guy hide behind a plastic Walmart.
That was the other one.
Chair?
Yeah, the foldable chair or whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
They were like hiding behind it. The guy was trying to get his gun around this thin piece of plastic or whatever, which is,
Very common.
I think people are in stressful situations. It's pretty crazy. Okay, so thank you for the your input on the 1911. I got to tell you, I could sit here and talk to you for hours. There's so many things. I just love hearing from you. There's so many things so much experience you've had. Thank you so much, which is awesome. But going out, thumbs up, thumbs down. Should a modern day defensive, someone who's carrying a gun for defense, should they consider a revolver? Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Not my first choice. A revolver in a modern time is an expert's gun, and by a strong expert, I mean somebody who can ace the FBI qual without even thinking about it, and they can do it as a sobriety check. If you can do that, then you can think about a revolver as a concealed carry piece or a defensive gun.
That's interesting.
Other than that, it's an expert's gun today.
That is contrary to all the guys down at the, whatever, playing bocce balls or, whatever, at the, foreign wars or, all the old guys in their barbershop or whatever. That's the exact opposite advice that they give, right?
I know. Yeah, I get it.
Which I love that. I love that. All right, my friend, John Correa, thank you so much. Check him out. Look him up on YouTube. Like and follow and subscribe and do all the stuff. It's active self-protection. But most of all, watch his content and learn. Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
Thanks so much,
John. All right. Hey, this is Gun Owners Radio, FM 96.1, AM 1170.
The Answer.
So by now you might have heard that Mike Lindell and the whole MyPillow crew don't have the support of box stores or shopping.
He's just jealous.
What?
He is jealous.
What?
I can't believe you're making fun of my
He is.
holster.
He's
I want
jealous.
it.
You can't have
My little barkeep will fit in there.
Even
You
put a
haven't
little,
got nothing that'll fit in there.
It's in my. Yes, I do.
I don't think so.
It was in there 2 hours ago.
Got a
in there
question on YouTube. It's a question for John, but I already know the answer. The question's by Peanut 3050, and he's asking if John feels that people should have to have a concealed carry permit to carry.
I don't know.
Too bad. He's already gone.
Oh, I know. Well, I already know what his answer is. He's
Go
talked
ahead.
about it. Oh, absolutely not.
You can answer it.
I just absolutely not. That's the answer.
What part of absolutely not did you not understand?
Exactly. I was up in Fallbrook neighborhood.
Do you go to the barbecue place?
No.
A couple of weeks, we have the Avocado Festival coming up.
Oh.
I think it's on April 21st.
Yeah, I love avocados.
Mm-hmm.
You don't like them?
Oh,
This
I do.
might be the year that I.
That you like
that I,
avocado?
Make your way up there.
No. We're always up there, but this might be the year I actually follow through with my big bowl of black guacamole. Call it guacamole.
Guacamole. Oh, my God.
A little food coloring in it, so it's black.
No, you don't want to do that.
Do you remember years ago? This is a long time ago. They had like purple ketchup, and they had a couple of. They had green and purple ketchup. It was ketchup, but they just put food coloring in it. It was fun for kids or whatever.
Oh, that's
It's
disgusting.
the weirdest thing when you're expecting.
Oh, I got one worse than
A
that.
taste?
I was in Korea, and they were having a big Colonel's having a big party. So the cook made this big, beautiful cake, and it had green frosting around the outer side of it.
Oh,
Mashed potatoes,
oh.
because we couldn't get whipping cream in North Korea.
What did you eat in North Korea? I can't imagine trying to feed you.
Not much.
I was gonna say he has the.
Yeah, you have. All right, let's get back to Gun Owners Radio, FM 96.1 AM 1170.
The answer. Do you eat sushi?
Good God, no.
I can't believe you don't eat sushi.
Why would you do that?
I want a
delicious.
cake made out of steak with mashed potato frosting.
Oh,
I want that.
Yeah.
Oh, I would eat that.
See?
And I'll eat barbecue.
See, like I said, I don't have a sweet tooth. I have a meat tooth.
That's
That
it.
would be perfect.
Step on his foot and his mouth opens.
That's right.
Hey,
Go
you-
ahead.
What?
Sorry. Go
Say
ahead.
what?
We don't want to interrupt.
Do you want any gear
Yeah,
at an affordable price?
absolutely.
I did check them out, man. It's a pretty cool website.
Condor is very good.
It is. That's where you got that holster.
No.
Condor's mission is to provide you with the highest quality gear to help you tackle any adventure with confidence. Whether you're a military professional, law enforcement officer, or simply an avid outdoorsman, Condor products are designed to be versatile, durable, and above all, reliable. So if you're looking for the best in tactical gear, look no farther than Condor Outdoor. Use discount code GOR for a 15% discount on the website. That's condoroutdoor.com. Use GOR for 15% discount.
Jason, are you familiar with Stump My Nephew?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good.
You
Excellent.
got to do the question.
Here you go. We're going to have you do the question then. All right, it's time for Stump My Nephew, everybody's favorite segment, Stump My Nephew. Sam, the gunman, is my nephew, and we found out years ago he's really good at gun trivia. So if you send us a question and we use it on the air, we'll send you a hat or a shirt. And if you stump my nephew, then you get, I think, tickets to Gun Prom is what we're going to do, something special. Yeah, so. Sam does not hear these questions in advance, and I take great pride in making fun of him when he is stumped. So believe me, we try to make this as hard as possible. Despite that, he still answers like 90-something% of these.
He's going to get this one.
You think so?
I do.
All right, we'll have to see. Sam, you there?
Yeah, well, now that you've built it up like I'm going to get this one easily, it'll be a hard one. I know how you work.
All right. Jason, go for it, man.
All right. The question comes from Brian Gonzalez from Salt Lake City. Asks, what new technology did Benelli introduce with their Super Black Eagle shotgun?
Brian in Salt Lake City, thanks for writing in. What technology did Benelli introduce with their Super Black Eagle shotgun? Okay, I know it's not going to be an inertial locking system because that's older. What?
I'm going to let
No,
you
they're
talk.
just gagging. That's all. Nothing to
I don't know. Keep going because it's.
Yeah, you'll get to it.
Why would you say it's not that?
Because that's.
Because it already existed.
You're psyching me out.
I don't mean to. All right, go for it. It's just that I have a question. I'm a little skeptical of this. Keep going.
I'm going to say it's going to be some kind of a recoil buffer in the stock, but I'm pretty sure that's not it. That's a tough one.
So here's the thing. Talk about inertia. Talk about inertia systems on guns.
So an inertia locking system, you see them on some semi-automatic shotguns. I don't completely understand the physics of how they work, so don't quote me on this. As always, ask your local, engineer or physics professor or something. But as I understand it, the bolt itself is not locked in the conventional sense, but there is a mass in there is a mass which stays in place as the shotgun begins to recoil into the shooter's shoulder, which keeps the bolt closed long enough so that when the recoil impulse bottoms out, the bolt can then open. But that may be an inaccurate description. Again, I have a hard time understanding the physics of how all of that works.
But the Benelli didn't invent that. That's existed for years, right?
I believe so.
So that's why it's a little misleading. We should probably read these before we never do though. It's a lot more fun to hash this out.
You've said that more times than I can count.
I know, and I'm going to promise you two things. I'm going to promise you, number one, I'm never going to read these before. That's number one. Number two, I'm going to promise you that I will say we should probably read these at least 10 more times this year. Okay, so here's the answer, and then I'm gonna talk about why it's a little difficult to figure out if you nailed it or didn't. I don't think you did. But
well, let me open up a web browser and start searching this up while you're.
The Benelli Super Black Eagle, with its inertia-driven system, which has a trademark, represents a significant technological innovation in the world of semi-automatic shotguns. This system was a game changer because it allowed for consistent, reliable cycling of shells without adjustments, blowing gas and debris out of the barrel instead of using it to cycle shells. This meant the shotguns could function in all weather conditions, required less cleaning, setting a new standard for semi-automatic shotgun reliability and performance. So go back to the question. What new technology did Benelli introduce with their black? Okay, you know what? This is totally legit then. You didn't get it. I'm sorry. But I thought the question was indicating, did this shotgun invented that, and it didn't invent it. It just, like the question says, introduced it. Okay. All right. They stumped.
Well,
you were almost there, but
he knew it. I think he just.
It's funny that the thing I named that I was pretty sure it wasn't was the answer.
That was the thing.
I just looked on Benelli's website real quick, and they say they introduced that system in 1967, but it does not say with what shotgun.
Well, this guy says it's the Benelli Super Black Eagle. Brian from Salt Lake City, we're gonna give you 2 tickets to Gun Prom. You're gonna have to fly all the way down from Salt Lake City or drive. It's about a day's drive. You can make it, and you're gonna come down and party with us on October 12th. So congratulations. Good question, Brian. I liked it. It was all very good. I don't know. Sam, you're allowed to do more research on that and then give us an update next week to see if that's all. I think this is good. This is a good question. It's a good answer. I think he stumped you.
Maybe a better question for
Gooder.
Sam would have been
Gooder.
Yeah.
Better.
Yeah.
Yep. Better question is, why are Benelli such awesome shotguns?
Why are they, Sam?
Because of
Why are they awesome shotguns? Well, I can say that they're known to be reliable and that most of them can handle 3.5-inch Magnum shells. They are, in my opinion, a bit overpriced.
Well, you should have said they have the inertia-driven system.
I think he did.
That's
Did
all
you
right.
guys see that Benelli has a brand new AI technology with their shotguns?
No.
They're advertising as saying it's actually advanced impact, not artificial intelligence. Don't worry.
Interesting. All right. Okay. Good job, Sam. Awesome job.
Well, don't say awesome job. I got the answer wrong.
Got the answer wrong. And I think this is 2 weeks in a row now, buddy. What's going on? You got a little spring fever happening?
You've been throwing me some hardballs lately.
These are good. They're good questions, though, and they're all from out of town. This guy's from Salt Lake City. Brian, you're going to have to let us know. Are you coming down for Gun Prom now that you have 2 free tickets? I hope so. Okay. Awesome job, Sam. Thank you. Appreciate you. Not awesome. You're right. I shouldn't congratulate you. I'll get you a participation trophy, just for being a part of the show today. But thank you so much.
Well, hey, thanks for having me on.
You bet, man. What'd you think of the show?
It's outstanding. Long-time listener, first-time participant.
Awesome.
Always welcome.
What do you want people to know about Fallbrook Guns or
Practical is tactical.
Practical?
I like
Tactical.
tactical.
You like that? You like that better? Okay.
Well, I just like the fact that, it's for people, they won't be intimidated by your
Correct.
training.
That's
And
what I want you to know.
think
You're
that's
not.
the
I'm
key.
not going to be over intimidated. I'm not going to bark and yell at you unless you're doing something really, really
Stupid.
stupid. I want you to learn. I want you to interact. And I want you to walk away feeling like you did learn something and had a good time.
And if he's wearing a crab and gun shirt, folks, you can be rest assured it'll be a fun, relaxed training.
That's right.
New folks, intermediate, even advanced, anybody that wants to improve their knowledge, their safety, their proficiency.
I'm open to all comers.
Nice.
And I'm always learning from my students.
Nice. Well, fantastic. And you can take the certified class from you, right? For
Correct. I am a San Diego.
CCWs.
I've got all 4 check marks.
There you go. There you go.
That's
Nice.
it.
Now you can take another class.
All right.
We'll be back checking on you.
Maybe
Keep me accountable.
Maybe you can teach me how to use my new holster.
For his little.
It's not really for concealment.
With Dave's barkeep.
Yeah, give me my holster back. You're done playing with it.
No, it's my holster.
What do you mean, no? You
It's
can't
even
say
got
no.
my logo on it.
That's not your logo. That's my logo.
I'm so happy with it.
Yeah, but it'll fit my gun better than your gun.
What gun? It was actually custom made for my
you're
gun.
You already said you're going to put a baseball in there. I have a real gun.
What's your real gun?
I have a little barkeep.
Oh, yeah.
What? Don't give me a...
It'll fall right through the bottom.
It will not either. It'll fit in there just
It'll
snug as a
fit
bug.
pretty good, actually.
See? That's because I got it from him.
This is it's a 38 caliber Smith & Wesson.
No, it'll never
with
fit.
a sprinkly little paint job.
It
on
will never fit.
Thanks to Lee from Barely Training. Thanks for watching this episode from Gun Owners Radio. If you're watching mainstream media, you're not getting the truth about guns and the Second Amendment. Gun Owners Radio is the easiest way to stay on top of the Second Amendment fight, the fight for your self-defense rights. You can watch our live stream on YouTube every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, or if you're in San Diego, AM 1170, FM 96.1, The Answer. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform. Just do a search for Gun Owners Radio and you'll find our show. Don't forget to support our sponsors. Click on the links in the show notes and support the businesses that support your Second Amendment rights. Like and subscribe to help defend and restore the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.